In this video, we're going to talk about the Million Dollar Agent Playbook, how to make $1 million in gross commission income as an agent. You might ask yourself, well, how in the world do you know how to do this? What credibility do you have? So the past 6 years, our team has helped thousands of agents sell billions of dollars in real estate. And this is not a methodology that we've just made up in our mind, but it's really analyzing what do the top agents do, the ones that do make $1 million a year, how do they achieve that goal, as well as what are the agents that went from zero, where we helped them list and market their first property, go to selling hundreds of properties a year. What did they do really, really well? And so out of hundreds of agents that we've worked with, we've been able to analyze and see what is the common denominator between all of them. And that's what we're going to cover today. Before we jump into that, I want to make sure we're on the same page. $1 million in gross commission income, depending on your price point, is either 30 transactions at $1 million each, or if your average price point is $500,000, about 67 transactions. And of course, you can do the math where you're going to need a little bit more if your average price point is below $500,000. So that kind of gives us our number of how many transactions do we need to have. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The separation between the agents that succeed and don't succeed, period, let alone get to that $1 million threshold, is hinged on one very important factor. Are they dedicated? Are they dedicated to their craft and their work? But most importantly, are they dedicated to their client? And what I mean by that is most agents are not willing to dedicate themselves to that one ideal client that they can serve. And instead they say, well, I can serve anybody. I'll help anyone that needs to buy or sell a house, which I believe them. And that's what holds them back. When we see that in order to make $1 million, you need to serve less than 100 people in a city of millions of people, it's not so scary then to think about what is the one client avatar and to really narrow it down from there. Now, an agent that is willing to dedicate themselves to just one client avatar to begin with is now ahead of the ones that are not, because they can focus on clearer messaging, clearer value proposition, and clearer service to that client. So we have our number of people we need to serve. Now, statistically, on average in the US, 8 to 10% of households move, and about a third of that is real estate related transactional moving. So in your database, if you want to have 30 people transact, you need a database of 1,100 people. 3% of your database will transact in a given year. If you need 67 people, you double it up, it's about 2,200 people, give or take, and so on and so forth. So that gives us the picture of what people call the sphere of influence. Now, all of these individual people are not created equal. This is not the same as having an email list with 10,000 people, of people that don't know who you are. This is people that you can text and they won't think you're spam. So it's not necessarily your best friend, it's not your cousin, it's not someone that knows your life story or you know theirs, but it is someone that can recognize you, that can at least articulate that this agent helps this type of person, or I know him from so-and-so place. And so when you look at this number, it's not crazy big, but it is big enough to where your own personal life sphere of influence is not going to cover it. So we're going to have to find a way to get people into your sphere. So find people to get into your sphere and then keep them in the sphere. And so if we can find a way to every week, every month, add 50 to 100 people into the sphere over the course of a year and so forth, you will compound into this powerful sphere of people that's around 1,100 to 1,200 people, to 2,200 people, that 3% of which will transact and get you to that $1 million price point. So in theory, it feels and seems very simple. How do we execute it? When we look at these people, that star homeowner that we're serving, they are going to fall in one of three buckets in terms of their lifestyle. There's the work, there's the play, and then there's the life. And so when it comes to moving, it's usually one of these three reasons, and sometimes all three. When they're looking for a house or moving away from a house, it's one of these three things. And so as an agent, all you need to do is look at what is that one client avatar that I personally can serve well, that I also happen to overlap with in work, life, and play? Meaning, I can relate to them. Maybe I'm a business owner, they're a business owner, I can relate to them. Or maybe they are the wife of a business owner and they're really into health and working out, and that's what I'm into. That's how I'm going to connect with them. And so that's your in on making that connection, so that you're giving them a reason to be part of your sphere of influence, that 11 to 2,200 people. Meaning, over the course of a year, if you've connected through social media, especially talking to people, and you've connected on one of these three areas consistently with one type of group of people, you will get to have that sphere, which transacts 3% of the time and gets you to that $1 million price point. Now, that's the theory. That's how it works. This is where agents can differ in their execution of how do they get people into that sphere. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that there's only one way to do it. Being the founder of Orange Visuals, we've helped agents do this through video. So primarily, we've helped agents build their sphere and maintain their sphere, deepen their relationships with their sphere through video content. And I hear agents say all the time, yeah, videos don't help sell properties. To which I would say, sure, that's fine. If it helps sell a property, that's a bonus. That's not why we do the videos. At Orange Visuals, we approach a video as an asset to build relationships. So one video should help you build 50 to 100 relationships. And by relationships, I mean, again, not I know their whole life story. I'm gonna be their best man at a wedding, but it's someone that saw a video online, commented, you sent them a message, hey, thanks for commenting. What did you find interesting about this video? Or whatever the topic was, start a conversation. You are now messaging on a basis where, again, like I mentioned earlier, if you were to text this person, they wouldn't think you're spam. That's one person added in. Now, where did we get this number? The number comes from, typically, if you do a good quality video, you will get at least 50 to 100 interactions in the form of a like, a follow, a comment. And so those are all opportunities for you to start a conversation. Each time somebody follows you on social media, you can automatically have it set up to say, hey, John, thanks for giving me a follow. Curious, what interested you about my page? And they'll tell you what it is. And they'll tell you basically, out of the work, life, and play category, where are they leaning towards? What interests them? And that's where you can connect with them on. That's how you know you have those 50 to 100 people. Now, your video doesn't stop there. It doesn't just automatically build those relationships. Each video also then can be used to proactively prospect. So for sale by owner has a property down the street, you send them a video. We've had clients get $1.5 million listing appointments just from that simple text. Or collaborating with different business owners or people around the city, like your sellers who have, again, one seller has 50 to 100 people in their sphere that are similar to your ideal client. You collaborate with them. Let's say your seller has a hair salon and you can collaborate with her on a video that her other friends will see. You've now expanded your network 50 to 100 people. You know this is working well when you might walk down the street in like in a street for a showing, and you see people on the street gardening and they recognize you and they'll say, oh, I saw you on Facebook. That happened to our clients. Or walk into a grocery store and people say, oh, I've seen your video that you just posted. That happens surprisingly soon if you're consistent with talking to one type of person. That allows your efforts to compound and have that focus. So when you have 50 to 100 of these, what it comes out to be, depending on the quality of your video and the proactiveness of using the video to build relationships, 50 or so videos throughout the year, one video a week, is essentially all it would take to get to that $1 million a year price point. Now, I'm not saying that if you create 50 videos in a year, that at the end of the year, you're gonna make $1 million. It's the framework. Some agents are better at this, some are not as good. But it's a framework where even if it doesn't get you to that $1 million price point, it's gonna help you double your business, it's gonna help you triple your business, and eventually, if you stick through it long enough, get you to that $1 million a year price point of gross commission income. So that's the framework. This unit of one video is what is important. How do I create that one video that will give me 50 to 100 new connections, that will also strengthen the sphere of influence I already have? So it's working both ways, bringing people into the sphere, strengthening the sphere, so that if I do that enough times, it will get me enough of those connections, which I know that 3% of them will transact. And so the bigger I make that pool of people, the more transactions, the closer I get to my goal. There are a few types of videos that we have successfully been able to do. The first one is the listing video, which a lot of agents look at as a necessary evil, and that's why they get the results of, honestly, no results, really. Here's what we found works incredibly well. You have a neighborhood of a street, a neighborhood, whatever it may be, an area, and you list this property. You make a video that's so good, tells the lifestyle, shows all the work, life, and play aspects of what it means to live in this home that also connects to your ideal client. Because let's face it, this $500,000 house could be bought by a first-time home buyer or a middle-aged family or someone that's downsizing. So you have the choice, the freedom to sell this property to a type of avatar rather than just sell a property. And that becomes a building block. If you're selling 20 homes a year, 10 homes a year, or if you're not selling any homes and you just highlight 50 homes a year, each home is a building block of building your brand in the eyes of this ideal client over the course of the year. And so that's one aspect. But if you do this right, you showcase the home, you market the home, you market the lifestyle correctly, you have set a new bar in this neighborhood to which anyone that wants to sell a home in that neighborhood in the future will either have to work with you because you've set a bar that they cannot go underneath, or they will have to work with an agent that has to match your bar. So either way, you've positioned yourself to succeed in one way or another. And this, of course, compounds even more if you're dedicated to an area, which you don't have to be, but you can be. So the listing video is a very powerful tool to start to farm a neighborhood where you sell a home. The video might not help sell the property, but it helps you get that next listing, and then another one, and then another one. Now, that could also be paired with, that's like a passive approach, but that same video, like I mentioned earlier, can be proactively used to get listings. For example, again, how many for sale by owners get bombarded with, hey, can I sell your property? Hey, I have a buyer, I can help you sell this property. We had this happen where an agent was reaching out to a for sale by owner and getting ghosted, $1.5 million property. I'm sure other agents were reaching out as well. The moment she sent the video of a listing she did, similar price point, similar client avatar, highlighted the lifestyle that that seller would want to see, she was able to get a listing appointment right away because of the authority, the way she was positioned in the video. So that's one building block. You have the listing video. Now, the listing video, there's different levels to this. You can do a video that's going to be impactful to the neighborhood, and that's the most popular one. If you go all in, something we call the deluxe video, where you might bring in a very creative idea. Like we had a $5 million property. We did a Sasquatch, day in the life of a Sasquatch on a 60-acre property with a huge house. That video went beyond the measures of just the neighborhood. It was on the zip code. Like you're at that point dominating the zip code. That's when you start getting noticed in the grocery store. But you can start small. The listing video is one powerful way. If you're specifically in an area, which usually we recommend choosing a general area, a zip code, so to speak, you can pair the effects of the listing video with the neighborhood video. Now, the neighborhood video is not just about a property specifically, but it's about the community. And this is especially useful for maintaining that good connection with people that may not be that part of that 3% yet. They're not looking to buy a house right now, so they might not really be interested in the listing video about properties, but they are interested in the lifestyle. They're interested in the restaurants, the things to do around the property. And again, going back to the work-life play, you're talking about not the coffee shop that everyone talks about. You're talking about what does your homeowner want? What does a star homeowner you have want? So if you're going for that $1 million price point, you're probably not talking about the public park or the Starbucks down the street. You might be talking about the bookstore that's down the street that's a little bit more boutique, something that your client would want that you also enjoy. Now, what happens when you do this is you're not just creating content that they want to see. You're intentionally showing them, here's what you like, here's why you're interested in this. I happen to be the same kind of person. I am also interested in that bookstore. I am also interested in that coffee shop. That's something that we have a connection over. And that part is very crucial because you could become a content creator. You can get thousands of people on your social media, but that doesn't necessarily equate to that people will trust you as an agent to transact with. And so you might be missing that bridge. The goal is to get people's attention through the neighborhood videos, through the listing videos, but you're basing it, the foundation of it is that, hey, I am similar to you, I'm like you, I understand your lifestyle, and they'll see the listing videos to understand, okay, they sell real estate. And that is a very important aspect of turning that attention into conversations about real estate, which is why when I mentioned earlier, as you're creating these videos, you're getting interactions, you're getting likes, comments, follows, proactively prospecting them and saying, hey, John, I saw that you reached out. Thanks for giving me a follow. I appreciate it. I was curious what caught your attention. And they're gonna say it was the coffee shop. Oh, that's great. I love the coffee shop. I just sold a home down the street here. They're great people. I could connect you with them. Something along those lines. They are subtly learning to perceive you as the person that understands the local area, and you are the real estate expert. And so then there's impact videos. Now, impact videos could be a combination of things that are they could be considered a neighborhood, but I look at them as impact videos of, hey, instead of just highlighting the coffee shop, who's the owner of the coffee shop? Can we tell their story? Can we put them on a pedestal so that their 100 friends that are like them, also business owners, that we could build that relationship with, get positioned in front of? If that's not your clientele, maybe your clientele are dog lovers, and you're gonna support and do an impact video with the local dog shelter that protects dogs. And so that's gonna be where they make that connection. That's gonna be your impact. What is impactful to your clientele? Is it work, life, play, all of the above? Find that common ground. Once you have your 1, 2, maybe 3 pillars of content that you're gonna be using as the connection, the building tool, it's a matter of repeating. You don't always need to recreate the cycle or reinvent the wheel. It's about repeating this over and over and over again, week by week, month by month, so that, and here's the important part, it's not possible for you to maintain a close personal relationship with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. You don't need to though. If you're able to build an immediate trusting connection to the point where someone would transact with you by just having one coffee meeting with them, that's possible. You can meet with them one-on-one, you have a personal connection, but that's not scalable. What we're replacing is that one really in-depth coffee shop or coming to their house and getting to them as a person meeting is replicated by maybe them watching your content for 6 months, and they watch 30-second video here or 1-minute video there. Over 6 months, it adds up to an hour, a couple hours of them watching your content, and it equates to almost the same thing as meeting them in person. And so now, because it's scalable, you've now built that very close relationship with thousands of people. That's the important part. That's why this works. And this is also precisely why for most people it hasn't worked. They haven't had the results because they haven't followed through, or they haven't been intentional to, like I said at the very beginning, dedicate themselves to that one clientele. So, as a recap, to make $1 million a year in gross commission income, you break down your price point, how many transactions do you need? That amount of transactions, you divide by 0.03 if you know the math. You find out how big is your sphere need to be, your 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000 people, that if 3% of them transact, it would hit your goal. And then you talk about how can I create a video that will help me add into this network and maintain the network in a way that will speak to them through their work, life, and play aspects of their life so that I stay relevant not only when they're looking to buy a house, but because those things are relevant beyond the transaction of real estate, their work, their life, their play, it's gonna make you relevant in their life for years and years to come. Some simple math, just to recap as well. You already have a powerful sphere. If you have, like anyone most likely does, have 100 people in your sphere, and you focus on them, if they happen to be your ideal client, and they know 100 people each, that's already 1,000 people. That's 10,000 people. There's already plenty of people within your sphere that you could achieve your goal. It just takes the dedication, the precision of focusing on that one type of clientele so that they would hear you out. The example I always give is when you're on a New York street, super busy, and you're in Times Square, and you yell out, "Hey, somebody." Nobody's gonna turn around. They have no idea you're talking to them. You're gonna get 0 results. And that's what happens when people typically make videos on social media. They're talking to everybody, which really means to nobody. But on that same street, if you were to say, "Hey, Mary," or "Hey, John," there's a very high chance that 1 or 2 people will turn around and will think you're talking to them. And in a paradoxical way, when you narrow down, you actually get a bigger result. It's the same thing with social media, with marketing, and with your sales. And so this even seemingly outrageous $1 million a year goal is a lot easier and closer than just trying to serve everybody at the same time at all times. So with that being said, my name is Timothy. I'm the founder of Orange Visuals. We have helped sell thousands of properties a year, billions of dollars worth of real estate. And if you need help building your brand and hitting that $1 million agent pathway, reach out to our team. We'd be happy to help.